Chapter 738, For Spirit Treasured Body, Dharma Laksana. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Zhang Yuochen entered the scroll world. First he looked at Augusinian, who was struggling to reach the 9th change of the fish dragon realm. The surface of her skin shone with a faint colored glaze light. Apparently, she was in the crucial stage. Later, he came to the edge of an enormous lake, sat down with his legs crossed, and took out the source of spiritual fire, one of the 5 elements spirit treasures. Zhang Yuochen had refined the black glazed spinel, the purple agarwood and bloody saint cultivating soil, and practiced the treasured body of 3 spirits. He had also already refined a number of sources of spiritual fire. If he could succeed in practicing the treasured body of fire spirit, he would be able to achieve a 4-spirit treasured body. The power of 5 elements was the most balanced power in the universe. But to practice the 5 elements chaotic body meant to break the balance between heaven and earth, as if going in the opposite direction. It was a most difficult thing to practice. The conflicts of the 5 elements power grew fiercer inside the monk as he advanced his practice. Zhang Yuochen was very close to practicing the treasured body of fire spirit successfully. But just this little bit left hindered him like a moat. The difficulty in crossing was unthinkable. He placed his hands on his abdomen, left hand above and right hand below. A sparkling cloud of source of spiritual fire began to float between his palms. It was glowing, devil-taming, mysterious fetus heaven. Using the 5th level method from the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean, he gathered all his genuine qi and holy qi. He ran them quickly through his 36 meridians and 4 holy meridians. All of a sudden, a suction power emerged in his hands, changing the source of spiritual fire into 2 small vortexes that fused into his palms. Boom! All the source of spiritual fire rushed into his body like a fiery river was rushing into an icy sea. An intense conflict formed between the source of spiritual fire and Zhang Yuochen's body. The 2 opposite powers, water and fire, were incompatible. With his great willpower, Zhang Yuochen had to suppress the incompatibility and try every means to merge them into one. An hour later, his clothes were sodden with sweat. His skin alternated between being swollen like a giant and shrunken as thin as a lath. Zhang Yuochen was on the edge of the 4-spirit treasured body, but he was also in great danger. His body could burst into smoke at any time, or his spiritual blood could be devoured by the power of 5 elements, and then he would become a lifeless skeleton. Yuochen, you must remember that when you embark on the road to practice, a journey of adventure also begins. Every superior must experience untold ordeals and withstand the tribulation of life and death. Sword Saint Xuanji's words echoed in his mind. I will succeed. I can pull through no matter what the difficulties may be. Those who fear death will only meet their end sooner. Zhang Yuochen persevered. He adjusted his mental state to achieve peace of mind. 3 days later, blood was coming out of all his pores. He endured unbearable pain every second, and even his will began to blur. He did not stop until it was impossible to continue. At last, I still failed. With a deep breath out, Zhang Yuochen checked his inner body, only to find that his meridians were almost broken, his internal organs were on the verge of being crushed, and even his bones had thick cracks. His body was tattered and torn. It was conceivable how dangerous it had been just now. If Zhang Yuochen had stuck on for one more moment, he might have exploded and died. Although he'd been unable to achieve a 4-spirit treasured body, he had gained abundant practice experience and deepened his understanding of the 4-spirit treasured body. With this failure, it will be easy to reach the 4-spirit treasured body next time. Zhang Yuochen did not take healing pills immediately, but instead laid flat on the ground. The remnant saint power of the half-saint's light, together with the power of water, wood, earth, and fire nature, slowly accumulated and healed his broken body. Zhang Yuochen perceived the process carefully, helping him to better understand the 4-spirit treasured body. It took half a month before Zhang Yuochen was back on his feet. Bang, bang. He practiced palm techniques for half a day to circulate his genuine qi and holy qi. My failed practice actually strengthened my physical power. If I practice the 4-spirit treasured body successfully, how strong will I become? Now that he was stronger, Zhang Yuochen increased his expectation to practice the four-spirit treasured body successfully. He took out the source of spiritual fire to make a second attempt at the four-spirit treasured body. Again, he failed. This time, he became scrawny and dry as wood. You could see his bones beneath his black skin. The power of the five elements had absorbed nearly all his spiritual blood. He was almost a skeleton. It took him another half a month to recover. He was scared but felicitated that he could survive twice after being so close to death. Other monks would stop and give up on practicing the four-spirit treasured body. But Zhang Yuochen was clearly aware that he could not give up. Kai Yao had practiced 800 more years than he. If he was unable to practice the five elements chaotic body, how could he surpass her in the future? His hatred and rage toward her burst out constantly. Zhang Yuochen took a deep breath and said firmly, "If I can't defeat Kai Yao, why should I bother living? Should I live in silence and disgrace?" So he made his third attempt at the four-spirit treasured body. But he failed again. Zhang Yuochen made his fourth attempt. His fifth. On his seventh attempt, Zhang Yuochen finally felt the realm of the four-spirit treasured body, ripped through the final barrier, and balanced the four powers of water, fire, wood, and fire perfectly. Boom! The moment he succeeded in practicing the four-spirit treasured body, an enormous power fluctuation poured out from his body and swept thousands of kilometers away. Five elements Dharma Laksana. He opened his eyes and said the words lightly. If he could practice the four-spirit treasured body, he could demonstrate the incomplete five elements Dharma Laksana. A saintly being's Dharma Laksana and an Archean survivor's Dharma Laksana both originated from their personal Dharma Laksana. A monk had to rely on his own power to demonstrate the Dharma Laksana. However, the five elements Dharma Laksana was formed by condensing universal power, so it embraced the power of heaven and earth. The five elements Dharma Laksana was actually the heaven and earth Dharma Laksana. A human's power was finite, but heaven and earth power was infinite. Even the incomplete five elements Dharma Laksana could erupt a horrifying power. Rumble. The five elements power evolved around Zhang Yuochen. It grew stronger and stronger, even chaotic. The nearby plants on the ground sprang up so rapidly that their new buds were visible to the naked eye. Heavy rain poured down mixed with thunder. The earth surrounding Zhang Yuochen rose to take the shape of a hill, and finally a huge mountain. The mountain erupted with a terrible noise and spouted red lava. The lava flowed down and merged into a river that ran to where Zhang Yuochen had been sitting with his legs crossed. Drastic changes also took place thousands of kilometers away. Remove.